accommodate the global traveler. Gives me great pleasure to introduce you to our first speaker. It's Schubert Lou, who is COO of Trip.com. I had the pleasure of interviewing Schubert last year for the ITB Berlin Travel Hero podcast, and I was so fascinated with all his insights and knowledge. Indeed, he was one of my best interviewees last year. So I made him promise that he would come to Berlin this year and be live with me on stage. So this is a great honor for me, and I'm very excited that he has been very true to his word. So Schubert is going to talk to us about the global traveler and how technology is helping the sector deliver a better experience for the traveler, and how technology, of course, is helping the overall sector do a much better job than we've been able to do before. Technology is at the heart of everything. I met a wonderful a couple of entrepreneurs last year on the S-Bahn, and they are indeed in the audience today, and they're also delivering something. And in the space of 10 minutes, we managed to talk quite a lot about how important technology is to the success of their business. Welcome to the both of you, and thanks for being here this morning. So, without any further ado, Schubert, the stage is definitely yours, and I'll come back for our Q&A. Give Schubert a warm welcome, please. Thank you very much.
Thank you, thank you. All right, thank you, Charlotte. Appreciate that. And yeah, when Charlotte and I talked about the topic, we actually focused on what are the insights from Asia and China as a background. So I would like to start with that. With the slide, I would first want to say that there is a bit of a saying in stock investments called follow the trend. And the trend for Asia this year is for sure very positive. It's actually gaining momentum. We're getting a lot of good numbers out of the region, including China, Singapore, Malaysia, and all those numbers has been surpassing expectations in the last 2 months. With that as the background, one would say, what triggered that momentum gain? And the answer is, because it's the year of the dragon. Everything in the year of dragon is prosperous and good fortune, and that's how you actually make the numbers. But if you're all scientifically minded, you probably think that that's just all BS. So I would give you then something more logical answer to what happened in China and Asia in the past 2 months. Let's start with this diagram. So what is this? This is a chart that illustrates all the visa-free policies that has happened in the region since November of last year. Okay? This is what I call a momentum shifter. A lot of things happened in that period of time. It started with China in Europe, opening unilaterally. And then you're starting to see the momentum speeding up with China and Malaysia, Singapore, and then Thailand having bi-directional visa-free policies. And then later on, you see now Thailand and India, Malaysia and India is having that conversation as well. So that becomes a very exciting topic in the region. And many have tokened this as what they call a just grab your bag and go era of Asia travel. So this is something that we actually would like to encourage you to pay attention to, because we see this continuing throughout the year. And as this goes, the travel in Asia will continue to accelerate. Now, I do want to add, this does look a bit like a dragon. So there's a head and then a tail. No, just kidding. So you would say then, yeah, what's the big deal of visa-free? For those that are in Europe, you probably heard something called ATS, yeah, 2020-25. So if you actually get that imposed, feel free to talk to your friends in the UK and see how they feel once that gets launched. Anyhow, with that as the backdrop, we're now looking at another set of data. This data is showing how is the travel flight segment happening in Asia, especially in the China and Southeast Asia region. Why is this important? Because North Asia and South Asia combined is around 30% of all passenger capacity in all of the world. And that particular segment has increased 10% ever since the visa-free policy is just released. So we're talking about a significant capacity increase in the busiest region in all of the world. And that being said, we're now seeing momentum between the visa-free and the capacity coming together. So let's take an actual use case of that. This is now a number that came out in mid-February, showing case of, hey, what is happening in the China outbound travel? And the numbers itself is quite impressive. To start with, you're actually seeing that the China to Southeast Asia bound travel has gone up 30% compared to 2019. Okay, I'm not using 2023 numbers because it's not relevant yet. Okay, with that 30% increase, you see a significant increase in tours and activities. On top of it, there is also increases you see in rental car and some slight increase in payment. What does this all mean? Okay, I want to kind of read between the lines a bit and kind of talk to you about what the insight is out of this slide. First of all, the total spending only went up not so significantly, around 8%. But the amount of money that went into tours and activities and also into rental car has gone up significantly. What does that mean? What that means is people are now spending money not necessarily on shopping-related things anymore or retail. They're actually shifting their money spent into tours and activities. And we're seeing a up spike of FIT travelers, hence the rental car. Okay. That combination is what we see as the new trend that is guiding the tours industry right now in the Southeast Asia region. Now, with that as the backdrop, you would say, well, is that an important trend that you're going to see continually? And our belief is, yes, this is going to continue as we see less focus on group tours, but more onto daily tours and FIT shifting from activity to activity. Okay, this is a number-backed research that we think is going to be significant. Now, after that, we also did a comparison of surveys between 2019, what users prefer, and what is the user preferring in 2024. And you can see a few pattern changes, if I may highlight this for you. The first thing you see is the change of travel experiences. Okay, it has moved up to the second place, very close to sightseeing. Okay, that continued to be the #1 reason why people travel, but travel for experiences has moved up significantly. Second, I'm not highlighting that, but consumer spending, okay, meaning how much people are doing on shopping, is actually starting to drop. Okay, not necessarily significantly from second to fourth place, but we're actually seeing that pattern change. Okay. Third, you're seeing that money is being spent on festivals and sporting events has picked up. Okay, we're seeing that as a momentum gainer. Now, if by a show of hands, how many people went to a Taylor Swift or Beyonce or Coldplay concert last year? All right, myself too. A few of us, great, cool people. That is actually the global momentum. But what you're actually seeing in addition to that is in the region, festival-related events has went up significantly. The number shows that for 3/4 of total spent on festivals and events that have already passed 2019 levels. Okay, so it is now gaining momentum as we speak in 2024. So people are going to places for the sake of festivals or concerts. That's happening. You actually probably noticed and heard the news. Now, Taylor Swift is now having a private tour in Singapore, okay, for a few days. That's only exclusive to Singapore. So that is actually triggering more attention for government to invest in this particular area. With that said, let's then take a look at what do users want. So I would then summarize into some of the behavioral patterns that we see is happening in Asia in what I call the 3 C's of APAC travelers, which is cost effectiveness, convenience, and then content. Each one of these resembling a behavioral change that's differing from 2019. So let's get in a closer look into each one of them. The first one I will look at is cost effectiveness. Okay, what does that entail? Cost effectiveness doesn't mean being cheap and not spending, but rather spending money in the places that I want to give me enjoyment and entertainment and happiness in my journey. Okay, what's that changing into? The subcategories within it, I will illustrate using these 3 examples. The first is what we called outbound plus. What's that mean? Used to be I'm just flying somewhere for the sake of vacationing. Now I'm going there because there is a concert. So what we did is we worked with the partners in this area, creating campaigns around that, and trying to get users to come in and then go to that concert beach or any kind of event for this excitement that it can enjoy. The second area, what we're seeing is off-peaking. Okay, what does that mean? Off-peaking means I want to spend my money, but I don't want to spend the time with the people that I don't like or too many people. So off-peaking, we're actually seeing 2 trends. Off-peaking by switching the time, which is either going there 3 days before or 3 days after the peak moment. Okay, that is off-peaking by time. And we're seeing that momentum getting stronger and stronger. The second point, what we're seeing is off-peaking by location, which means that I am now going to a place that is similar to my top destination, but it's not in the same place. Hence, I see less people, and also I pay less money for it. Okay? And then what we're then also seeing is, this is an example of the off-peaking experiences, and we're actually creating campaigns around that. Now, another example what we're seeing is, what if there is nothing exciting to show? Well, believe it or not, all the different venues are investing in a lot of new experiences. And that, what we're seeing, is gaining momentum in terms of messaging to the user. Okay, this is another area where we think cost effectiveness is driving the user consumption. With that said, then let's take a quick look at convenience. What does a convenience mean? This is a very standard chart that you see for literally all travelers, right? This is not unique to APAC travelers, but these are the elements that impacts a user decision, whether I should go there or not for the sake of convenience. The one that stands out the most is the top section, what we call alternative payment methods. In Asia, everyone is connected, meaning mobile, and with that, they're used to doing mobile payments. In the same time, they're not bound to the Visa card, MasterCard, like some of the American or European travelers. So you're seeing a whole slew of selections in this area. The challenge we see right now is people are not spending, not because they don't want to spend, you're not giving them a convenience to spend. If you can only support their payment method, you actually will go a long way. Okay, I think that is one area that we're hoping our partners can actually support us in that, because we have seen activities and product partners coming in but not able to support us in this area, in turn driving down conversion. Another area that we want to pay attention to is translation of content. Now you're actually seeing a lot of Asian travelers with their phone downloading a AI-related translation app and then taking photos and trying to figure out what is happening in their own language. Okay? This is significantly being underserved in many areas in the industry. And we're hoping that a lot of content providers can step up and using AI on your own and providing that auto-generate so that they don't have to do it on their own. Okay? And lastly, to highlight out of the 6 is food. Okay, Asians love to eat. That's the nature of how they travel. So anything that can provide decent food selection as a add-on, you can have them pay for it, that actually also drive conversion based on our tests and A/B test results. Okay, so any of these areas are important if you want to convert Asian travelers. Now, lastly, let's take a look at content. As you know, all the travelers in the world are seeing a lot of content. We're now battling for a mind share of individuals, and in order to do that, you must come up with what we call inspirational or attention-grabbing content. And in this space, well, we have a few recommendations for you. One is you need to have inspirational content that will get the eyeball. Once that's achieved, then it's about what we call discovery, meaning that, hey, where is that place? That's interesting. Let me search about that and tell me more about that place. Then the question comes in to say, where else can I get something like that? So they start browsing and then later on searching. Once they get to that point, then they say, great, I now know where to go. Then the question becomes, how do I get there? And what can I experience? Okay? This is what I call a content funnel. For the longest time, the industry focused on what we'll call a standard purchase conversion funnel, which they just want to have the booking. Have the booking, have the transaction, fill my KPI, and I'm done. Okay? But what we're seeing is you have to go further up the food chain and figuring out what is user looking for and creating that content so that they can actually come to your site. With that, then there is this mind-boggling content map in terms of where do the contents go. Okay, what does that mean? Well, a little bit more context here. What is Asia? Asia is half the world's population. And Asia is 70% connected. Okay, so you're talking about 3 billion mobile users that are using different channels and trying to get the content they like. And that deviates by channel, deviates by age group, it deviates by format. And in order to get all that, you see this map. Now, on the left is the China-specific ones that only work in China. But again, 1.4 billion uses those. Okay. On the right, what you see is all the different variation that you see. Even though the Facebooks, Instagrams are popular, but you're now seeing the Nevers, the Lemonades, and those are the content channels that you need to pay attention to and translate it to so that you can get their attention. Oftentimes, we find content providers or service providers not able to grasp that and not having what I call the translation. In turn, you are not actually getting the eyeballs and the traffic. Okay? So be able to put your content in the right places is very important for us to get to the next level. All right. With that, let's take a look at once users start interested in your content, they want to start discovering, then what happens? They start asking questions. What you see on the screen right here are actual questions being asked by some of our users at Trip.com, which is the AI assistant tool called Trip Genie. Okay, these are live, actual questions they asked. How's that translate? Let's take a quick look. We've been launching this since March of 2023, and we have iterated multiple versions in this area. And if you look at the tens of thousands of questions that we get on a daily basis, these are the 4 main categories of questions they ask. One, the travel inspirations. What that mean is, hey, where should I go to enjoy wildlife and nature? Number 2, the itinerary planning, the standard ChatGPT examples that you actually see. Number 3, destination, planning or understanding, meaning that, hey, what is there to do in Tokyo? And finally, the booking, right? Can you book me something 5 days and 4 nights in Bangkok with my family of 4? Okay. That's what you see in terms of the actual questions being asked. This is not demo, this is live data. Okay, so I'm going to give you a flavor of how's that demo is evolving right now, and this is how it's changing so far. Okay. There are a lot of long tail categories. I'm not showing the entire picture. Okay. There's a lot about what's the meaning of life, sure, but at the same time, we're seeing a lot of material questions being asked. How are we doing on time? Okay. All right, so I'm going to go quick so that we can have a little bit of Q&A. And with that, what we're trying to do at Trip.com is providing a full-fledged solution, not just the textual AI, but providing what we call multimodal experience with actual output. So not only that we help you plan, but we actually export the data in a very readable format. Okay? In that context, what you find is the generic LLMs are giving you solution, but not very usable. Why? Because it's not accurate. It's not relevant to the seasonality, and it hallucinates a lot. So in order to do that, what we need to do is bring the industry data into the LLM. Okay? It's how we train. Okay? We have the know-how, and the answer becomes a lot more accurate. We can then provide what is the time you need to spend in that location, and when you transport to the next position, it takes 5.5 minutes. Okay, these are the content that we can provide to supplement the generic solution that you get from the LLM. Okay, and obviously, we actually have real-time booking that you can complete your booking, not just do the planning and walk away. So the conversion actually happens at the end. Our own data shows this. Conversion rate doubles with an engaged conversation session like a Trip Genie. And the amount of time people spend in a session goes up by 20 minutes. 20 minutes. Okay, imagine that in a regular booking flow, which takes a few minutes to do. Okay, there's a lot of discovery happening in this type of environment. We find that very encouraging. All right, very lastly, we are doing personalization. Personalization is a very tricky thing to play. There are a lot of things you need to be aware of, what we call preferences. And in order to do that, you must engage with user. So we have a lot of user preferences. But at the same time, what we're lacking right now is what we call context. The context is, who am I traveling with? What is my budget? Right? How long am I going to spend in that place? And in order to do that, what we are doing is actually having a conversation with the user. Not just giving a standard answer, but coming back and asking them, hey, is this useful? How many people are traveling with you? What is your budget requirement? And maybe that kind of engagement provides the context, and with that context, we'll provide more accurate solutions. All right, in summary, if you come into the room asking, how's Asia doing? The answer is, it's doing quite well because it's the year of the dragon. But with that, what we're seeing is the trend in user preferences are changing. They're shopping on different things. They're spending more money on travel. In the same time, what we're seeing is they're looking for experiences and also a lot of things on how to personalize the experience. What we're encouraging everyone here to do is better understand you're not just going to focus on transaction. What we encourage you to do is provide the add-on experiences that using technology so that the users can have a better experience, and in turn, you get more global travelers. With that, thank you for your time. I appreciate your attention.
Thank you. Thank you, Schubert. Take a quick seat, please.
Absolutely.
Take a quick seat, please.
Okay.
And then I'll just get one question to you because we're nearly out of time. But
okay.
I did tell everybody that he was a fountain of knowledge, and you didn't disappoint. I want to dive a little bit into AI.
Sure.
Because I know this is a sweet spot of yours as well. And when we prepared for today, and today you've touched upon the significant impact of AI, of course. How is Trip.com really utilizing this technology in order to additionally sort of provide a much better experience for your customers? Maybe we can just have a couple of minutes of that, and then I'm afraid I'll need to have to let you go.
Okay, absolutely. So AI, I think what we're trying to do is really be able to get the user experience right. And the challenge we see right now is the generic LLM we're working with, and we're working with many of them, are not providing the accuracy answers. And they providing information that is missing or out of date. Okay? And what we're doing right now is putting a lot of significant work into correcting that data. Okay? We are literally collecting that data and then retraining it. We call prompting, we call embedding, fine-tuning. That's what we're doing on a regular basis. And with that, what we're seeing is the question coming in is getting more and more specific. And that requires us to collect a lot more our own data. So what we do is we go offline and talk to our travel agents, asking them to provide the actual real-life answers, and then be able to train the model so the model becomes a lot more relevant.
Yeah.
So even though the Googles and Microsoft in the world telling you, oh, I have this solved, what our own experiences, the answers are practically, well, not useless, but...
Are we scratching the surface still?
Absolutely. I think there's a lot more to do in this space in order to provide a really usable tool for the user.
Yeah. Well, we are still at the beginning. It feels like we've always never been able to live without ChatGPT, right? And it's only been a year since everybody really started talking about it. Certainly ITB Berlin last year, it was new to most of us.
Absolutely.
But now we're all engaging with it.
Everybody is playing with it every day.
Exactly. I'm personally very excited about it, but I also understand that we have a way to go. So Trip.com is partly helping us understand that and getting better use of it, as I understand it. Thank you, Schubert. It is unfortunately all we have time for, but I know Schubert and his team is here and exhibiting in Hall...
in section 8, 9,
Whatever.
9.
There's so many halls, I can't remember what's what. But you'll find Trip.com here if you want to learn a little bit more about them.
Great. Thank you, Charlotte.
That's it for this year. Thank you so much for joining us. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.